based in the Chicago area. I'm an author of 3 books, Brand Harmony, We, and the soon-to-be published Ditch the Pitch. And my colleagues and me and my consulting firm help organizations improve their results by really getting their customers to believe passionately in them and getting the employees to also believe passionately in what the company does. My favorite disruptive heroes that really made me understand the power of disruption were musical composers that I was exposed to when I was young. I remember being in high school and I got interested in this composer named Charles Ives. I don't know if you've heard about him. He lived in the late 1800s, but just totally broke the mold. And then I got into Stravinsky, who wrote a few decades after that. And then beyond that, the jazz players like Charlie Parker and Coltrane and Miles Davis. And I went to college as a music composition major and realized so much about what made the art interesting was the way each musician as a thinker deviated from the norm. And I was actually a music composition and philosophy major. And the same thing was happening with the philosophers I studied. Each philosopher who made an impact disrupted the status quo. So there I was, I guess, studying disruption. And it just strikes me now that the music that always makes the biggest impact is how music disrupts from the expected in every case. So that was what got me interested in thinking that way, and now I see that as a model for everything I look at. I think what it taught me was to sort of be willing to look at things differently. You know, I got to Hyatt as the youngest VP in the company when I was about 32 years old, and I was the vice president of resort marketing. And I remember being there one of my first days, and the ad agency's in from the East Coast presenting, and there's the president sitting there, and everybody's behind him. And as the ad agency would present a storyboard, the president would go, "Ooh," and everybody else would go, "Ooh," and then they'd show him the next one. He'd go, "Ah," and they'd all go, "Ah," and I'm sitting there like the kid in the Emperor's New Clothes saying, "That's not going to sell anything." I mean, I'd been in an entrepreneurial travel business before I went into the big bureaucracy. And so I think that I just got used to the idea that you don't have to take things the way they are. And it kind of led to my biggest interest in everything having to do with how you engage customers is turning it around backwards. Stop thinking about what you're going to say. Think about what they're going to hear. Stop thinking that you can brand your customers. You don't brand them. They brand you. And I think that by studying those kinds of things, just really understanding disruptors in different fields gave me the feeling that I don't have to take the status quo for what it is. And I think I've spent a lot of my career in the past 20 years kind of thinking about how marketing and sales is all backwards and trying to turn it around. My favorite disruptive change is looking at the way companies have traditionally tried to engage their customers. They thought we can tell our story, we can advertise, we can give sales pitches, and disrupting that because it doesn't work and realizing that you need to turn the whole thing around 180 degrees. Stop thinking from your perspective as the communicator, as the marketer. Have an out-of-body experience and say, what's it like to be my customer or to be perceiving this communication from the customer's point of view? What really makes them differentiate us, companies, in their minds is not how good our products and services are, but typically how those products and services impact them and what kind of relationship they have with us. And to me, that was a very interesting disruptive change because it started talking about the fact that your customers really, you think you're different than the competition. Your customers are really saying, if you want me to think you're different, show me that you know what makes me different. The current disruptive change that I am challenged by is one that's been a challenge for a while, which is getting people to break the mold of what they think customer interactions are supposed to be all about. When I talk about a concept like brand harmony, that every interaction a customer has with you blends to tell a story, they're like, well, I know that. And then you look at their marketing and you look at the way their company acts, and the salespeople aren't even in on what the brand story is. Nobody's ever told a frontline employee. So the challenge is they think they know it, but they're really not doing it. Same thing with Ditch the Pitch. If I say to anybody, so do you like getting a sales pitch? Like, oh, I hate sales pitches. Do you think sales pitches work? No, sales pitches don't work. And then you watch them try to persuade somebody, whether it's persuading a customer or persuading their boss to do something or a colleague to join them on a project, and they're pitching. They're saying, here's what I think you should do. So the disruptive challenge is getting people to really go beyond acknowledging, oh, I get that, and actually really doing it.